Welcome back, Slam fans, to another exciting division here at Deathy Slam. I'm Spooky Mars and HG Philly here to take you through things as we get into Division 2 Philly. We've got some exciting stuff coming up. How are we feeling tonight?
Oh, I'm hyped because Division 2 is the highest tier at DDS, right? These are like the Ascendant Oracle kind of folks. And this is where we think we'll see a little bit more of the meta picks. Maybe the games close out a little bit sooner than those 40-minute bangers we've been watching previously. Fingers crossed, especially for our production crew on the EU side. But I'm elated to just be a part of this event, support this Deadlock community, support all of you, and these players especially, just getting some of that coaching and that organized play, Spooky. We're going to have a good time with it.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love supporting the Deadlock community, right? We're here to support you, you're here to support us, and if you want to support more, you know, we've got plenty of ways to do that. You can be a part of this Death Slam. Toss your solo queue into the gutters, be done with it. Who wants to deal with all of that? Right here at Deathy's Death Slams, we take all solo queue players across all non-Eternus ranks, all right? We're keeping it down here a little bit. For those of you who do need some coaching, who want to learn a little bit more and get into that more comp headspace, there are tools available for you in Philly. That's what everyone needs, some tools available.
I mean, you and I need it. We played a couple brawl matches the other day. We were like, wait a second, what's going on? Our movement. And, you know, being a part of the Discord, we've been able to get some of those movement classes from some of the specialists in the whole league. So just definitely want to join the Discord, be a part of this community. Spooky, we also have some merch available. I know Sora was showing it off, but if you want to support even more, we've got some things for you to buy.
That's right, because we're here for you, but if you want to give back, there's some ways you can do that, right? It's real easy to participate, even if you don't want to be in the competitive setting, if you don't want to be playing these, but you still want to see the space grow, there's something for everyone through all walks of life, no matter what you're into. But Philly, we're here for games. We're here for action. We're here for All-Star Special against Abrams Jr. Is it Abrams or Abrahams?
It's the Abrahams, because the Abrahams are one of the best EU teams in the scene. So these are the junior squads. They're trying to emulate the best to ever do it on the EU side.
Hey, what better place to start than right here, the Death Slam events, right? We can take a quick look at our bracket, see how things have gone down for us so far this evening. You can see All-Star Special, Abrahams Jr. right up there. Whoever wins this is going to be going up against Noob Down in our last match for Division 2. Now, obviously we don't play favorites here, Philly, but if you are trying to emulate one of the top teams, you got to imagine that's a pretty competent roster there.
Yeah, then maybe the coach is from that EU side, right? And that they're just like, all right, we're giving you the title, but you gotta do us justice.
Gotta earn it.
They have to win this best of 3. And if they do, they go on to face Noob Down, and I had the pleasure of casting them last weekend during the Swiss qualifiers. They are a very good squad. You saw them just running through the upper bracket there, so a tough team to go up against, and we've got a long way to go in terms of playing some Deadlock, Spooky, but I'm ready to get into it. I believe the P's and B's are ready for us.
Wow, that's always my favorite place to start, primarily because it's the only place you can start. You have to do it. Before they get to Noob Down, they gotta fight their way through the competition here. All-Star Special, Abrahams Jr. See who's first pick. Philly, talk to me a little bit about what we're expecting. You said we're kind of in the higher echelons, expecting a little bit more of the meta picks and bands to come through here. Where does your mind gravitate first?
Frontliners. You can see the Shiv taking off the board there first. Yeah, he's got the assassin-y kind of build, but he can also go frontline. Just a lot of sustain from him. And a lot of the players on Abrahams Jr., their first playstyle category is frontline. Just frontline, frontline, all the way down. Makes sense. They want those chunky boys. I'm surprised Abrams himself was not the first eliminated, but he might be the first drafted from either of these squads. Speaking of more frontline, Billy, the first selection for All-Star Special, makes a lot of sense. You want that frontline character first on the board.
Does leave that Abrams up for Abrahams Jr. on the opposite side. We've talked a lot about the potency of these frontliners, right? Always want to make sure you have someone available to you, but instead Abrahams Jr. decided they're going to go for that page first. Still a supporty pick here. Have one more in their pockets. I would love to see them still lock in frontline, but there's something to be said for holding that back, seeing what you have to go against, but throw all that in the bin. they're after their namesake.
Yeah, I mean, and they've got the first 2 picks, right? So you usually try to pair those 2 together, and we always say this is called the dive and fight composition, right? When the page can just put the defend and fight on a character that likes to jump in, like a Yamato, a Billy, an Abrams, and really just facilitate them causing... Us when we try to play Street Brawl, whatever it is, like this is what you want to do with this combo. It makes a lot of sense. Whether the Abrams goes first, the Page goes first, only the stats keeper like Cassie and Dia will keep those in the back pocket. But really, the first 2 picks make sense to me. Now, All-Star Special, what are they going to do? As we take a look, they have a lot of great carry players. Like they have Fluffy and Reno. Like these are people that want to play the Wraith, the Vindicta, the Mirage, and there they go, picking up the Genie carrier right away.
And you said you highlighted some carry players. Makes sense to pick your carry right up here. Still have some time to pick up a support as well if they want to. Kelvin, gonna be locked in, so they've got some lockdown, some safety. Really like the way Kelvin and Billy play together as well. You know, throw those chains out, pull them in, throw the dome over. Now the help from outside can't come in. There's some nice stuff cooking up here.
Yeah, scary combination. Not to mention, if they do get paired together and lane the frost grenades to help Billy sustain, I'm even thinking further down the line, Spooky, do we see a Lash come through, right?
Maybe.
Death Slam into the dome. That's a tried and true combination. You know, this Calvin just provides so much in terms of versatility. Just so good throughout all phases of the game. So a good pickup here in that first phase. But now Abrahams Jr., what do they select? Do they go for the carry? Do they go for an initiator? We haven't seen that yet. You know, is it a Paradox, Holiday? It will be another carry type, another chunky frontliner. It's Lady Geist.
Want to make sure you've got those carries available to you, right? There is still a rather limited roster in Deadlock. Granted, I think most of the characters are all pretty good right now. But if there's some that you really want, you got to make sure you get them in before that second wave of bans comes out. Second wave, it's one ban. You want to make sure you lock down the pick that you want before someone takes it away from you. Now, go ahead and say Silver taken off as well. All-Star Special get their turn for a ban. Who are you looking at?
That's a good question. I would like to say maybe a Celeste or a Lash or someone that likes to rotate, even a Calico if they want to do this kind of early game kind of thing. A rotator is what I was getting at, and it will be the Mo and Krill. No! Cashy, clip that piece of my distraughtness for Mo and Krill being taken off the board. But I do love this ban of Silver. She plays sort of like this Lady Geist, this kind of resource absorber where she just gets so tanky. It's so hard to kill that you have to just layer everything at them. So, Abrahams Jr., they might try to go for a quick pace in terms of their team composition. So taking the Werewolf off the board makes a lot of sense to me. But now All-Star Special, they're looking for a pick character themselves, and they've limited the pool for them. I think this is going to be the next priority for both of these teams.
Sure. I will say, Abrahams Jr. looks kind of hard to kill right now. You touched on how tanky Lady Geist can be with her sustain. Abrams kind of the same way. He's a beefy guy, got some good sustain in there, and Paige also keeping that shielding up. This is difficult to fight into, and you were looking for a Lash, but you were looking for it on the other side. Abrahams Jr. seemed to recognize that possibility, said, nah, we can play with it just as well as you can. Let's get it for ourselves.
And sometimes that's even better than a ban. Just taking a character away from your team and utilizing it yourself. Just saying, haha, we've got it better than you. But I love this Lash pick because of these frontliners. It facilitates him to rotate more effectively because you feel comfortable leaving those characters in lane to absorb some of the damage, etc. You're talking about initiators. Paradox, the best in the business, in my opinion, to do it. That swap, so dang good. She's kind of that position 3 pseudo carry as well with the gun builds she's been going for. They do round it out with Celeste, who I think is sort of like a Lash, just kind of this nuker rotator with her mobility, her agility. She can get quickly across the map and then just bomb somebody with all of her dazzling lights. There is the true initiator for the Abrahams. It's going to be Hayes, but that's a difficult one to work with.
I want to look back at this Celeste for a second here because personally, I don't like seeing that pick come through because I think she's crazy. I think she's just so strong. It's so difficult to fight into. At the same time, though, is she enough to get past the sustain, the disengage potential that Abrahams Jr. has? Will she have a decent game? And now a Victor on top. Do any of these guys die?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like, who do you really try to pounce on? And I think you're going to try to look for the Lash and kind of contest him as he's making his rotations, or maybe catch the Haze. But if Haze gets that gun scaling above you, those fixation stacks are going to hurt really bad. So she could get caught in those 1v1 jungle contestions. It'd be difficult for Yamato as this last pick for All-Star Special, the X Factor here for them. That's making me go like this, Spooky Bars, because I'm wondering if we're seeing a Yamato, because what they've been, besides the Billy, they've been lacking some other frontline, and Yamato can do that with her sustain, right? The Crimson Slash can keep her in the Shadow Transformation as well. Going in the mid lane is probably, it's her and Paradox, so they can fight for that high ground really well. That's where they want to set up. I think that's going to be the lane pairing here for All-Star Special.
I'm looking over these teams, right? Yeah. Abrahams Jr. feels so very strong in the late game with how difficult they are to bring down. So I have to imagine the early mid has to be where All-Star Special is really putting the gas down. Do they have the tools for that? Is this a draft you think can tackle what Abrahams Jr. have, and what steps do they need to take to really capitalize on those stages?
Yeah, it's going to be on the back of the Celeste and Billy, and Calvin is kind of their early game, Yamato as well. Abrahams, they've got the Lash and the Page to work together, Haze to kind of carry them through the mid game, but Spooky Mars, there's only one way to find out, my friend. We've got to send it to our casters. It's Dandro and Trixly. We'll send it to them.
Thank you so much, Mr. HD Philly, as we set up for our next best of 3. Dandrew, what's going on, man? Welcome to the casting booth. You were out here doing analysis.
Yeah.
And now you're here to drop some words, man. How you doing? You ready?
I'm doing great. I've been in the back. It's been great on the desk, breaking down the drafts, talking with Soren. But I said I need to inject my veins with some energy. Get me in the booth. So that's what we did.
Reset your mentals. Like, it came down to a really, really good fight. You actually had a situation that was in your favor, and Lash just made a play. He made an insane play, and it was really hard to come back from that. Get ready for game number 2. Lock in, and you're good to go. But what do you think, Dandro? Because that was great to watch.
Yeah, it was very, very good to watch. I think when it comes to this draft, you got to go through a couple more of it, maybe some more, stalwart picks. I don't think the Kelvin worked. I don't think the Paradox worked in the way that you wanted to. Maybe kind of trying to draft a little bit better around that. But I think if you are All-Star Special, you just have to really, like you said, reset the mental, feel good about it. Just try and maybe come in with a new strategy here for game number 2.
Okay, well, that's it from us. Let's go over to our analysts and get some more information. They're way smarter than we are.
Hey! Welcome back, everybody. Back to the desk. What a game we had there, Philly. At the end of the day, scaling ended up being a little bit too strong of that late game from Abrahams Jr. Philly, that's kind of stuff that we talked about a little bit before we got into everything.
100%, and we discussed during the draft how it was going to be those initiators, the Celeste and the Lash, that were really impactful, but it's really the Victor who is the MVP.
Yep.
They were scaling throughout this entire game. They had like 29k souls at like the 20-minute mark or something crazy. They really played this 4v1 or 5v1 protective style to get this Victor the amount of souls, and then he just ran it from there. But I love the Page to back him up with the most assists with 25.
I mean, it really was just a difficult comp to play into, right? Victor, like you said, was consistently thousands of souls ahead of his competition throughout the entirety of that match. You combine that with the sustain he has, the sustain from his team, the support from that Page as well. He was so difficult to bring down, and it just shows you exactly why he got that MVP status there.
For me, Jin on this Yamato was the last pick of the draft, and I was really looking for them to make an impact. And yes, they had 16k player damage, but they were supposed to be the kill secure character. Didn't have as many eliminations as I would have liked, and like we mentioned, it's hard to eliminate a lot of those characters like Abrams, Lady Guys, Victor, so on and so forth. So the Yamato just couldn't get her job done, unfortunately. So a tough one to handle there, but Trix said it well. Reset the mental. If the early game had gone a different way, some of those ganks went to the side of the Hidden King, it could have been a whole different match. So this is a best of 3 for a reason. Reset, recalibrate, talk to the coach. Let's see what you can get done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point, right? Talk to the coach, right? I believe we do have OBT from All-Star Special joining us here relatively soon. Even though, the team didn't quite come out ahead, it's always useful to hear kind of what the thoughts going into things were and maybe where some of those pain points were, what went wrong. Thank you for joining us, OBT.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm happy to see my team passionate to compete. They're sending me messages like "bless me, bless us," and you know, it's a fun time, fun time.
Well, did you send the blessings?
Yeah, of course. I blessed them up. That's
All
my
right,
squad.
try to send them a little bit stronger next time.
I'll put some holy water in there for next time.
I love it. I mean, this is, you know, I'm a coach myself from my university squad, and being able to receive feedback is one of the most important things that we coach the students to do. And the fact that they're willing to get that feedback from you and grow and learn is just paramount. And that's why we do DDS, is to get these players involved. So OBT, thank you so much. I have a couple questions for you before we get into some of these replays we have, but I wanted to see some more tempo from your squad. Is that something you're telling them here for game number 2?
Yeah, so these guys they're very big on brawling, just based off their hero pool and how they play. They're really good at fighting. They win fights even when they have like 20k souls down, stuff like that. It's just like getting to the fights and making sure they're aware of what's happening on the map and stuff like that is something that I told them to like really focus on. So in the next game, I'd like to see them ban Victor, because Victor is basically anti-brawl. He's like the antithetical to their entire like game plan. So I'd like to see them ban Victor, and then I'd like to also see them pick something. Either don't pick the Paradox or pick something with the Paradox that can like follow her up. Because I feel like that game she was kind of playing with nobody to help her. It was just like, I get a swap, and if they're not in the middle of 5 people, then I have no damage to kill them.
Yeah, we were kind of thinking the same thing. That was like the Yamato's job, right? To get those kill secures. Just didn't seem to come to fruition. So, okay, some great adjustments, some great analysis from you, OBT. But Spooky, I know we have a ton of replays. Walk us through.
We do. We got a few things we're going to walk you through. I want to start off around the 6-minute mark. We have a big Lash gang coming out on that mid lane. In fact, a lot of these have some Lash presence in them. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I want to get your guys' thoughts on exactly how this is going down.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about, these initiators being the key factors, and getting this swap off is key. But where's that follow-up, like you mentioned, OBT? I'm not seeing it there.
I mean, it turned out well because the bouncy ball, but I like they've been really good at doing rotates there. So like even though the Lash rotated, they managed to get 2 kills. They managed to outtrade them. I'm very happy with that. I think the Lash is just, he's very strong because it's so chaotic in these fights that it's just hard for everyone to focus on him, especially with Kelvin Dome. It's like you can knock him down, but if he gets his ult off, it's not like instant knockdown. He'll just kill everybody. So I think I would like for them to maybe buy more curses for the Lash, something like that, just to completely shut him down, because he is a big problem.
Well, it's funny that you call him a big problem, because he was. We're going to roll into our next highlight here, and it's another Lash gank, right? He's been making a lot of plays. Philly, you said that you wanted to see a lot of rotations coming out from this Lash. Well, let's roll this clip. I want to hear your thoughts on this as it plays out.
Yeah, the fact that this Victor was allowed to stay on his lonesome, they didn't press the issue all-star in here, and this allows the Lash to come back through with a massive gank, not even the chain gang to hold him down. And look at this, he gets a couple in the neck, slams them into the dirt, the ground strike to follow up, dude. I mean, yeah, just a massive follow-up here to take down a couple. OBT, what are you seeing from this rotation from your players in terms of how they defended against this ultimate?
Well, I like how they immediately backed up together in the same direction to try to like soften any more losses that they could possibly have. I see the Celeste got out, the Kelvin, looks like he got out, or he's very close to it. I think that next time in the future they should try to keep an eye on where Lash is, or Calm that he's missing, and just generally play more around cover. I know his ult is fast, so it's kind of hard. He could just sit on the roofs, but it's just something that, you know, you have to just be aware of. Like, am I going in on these people? Am I ready for Lash to be there? Yes, no, you should always be ready for the Lash.
Flowchart is just always yes for Lash, no matter what it is, where he's at, just be ready for him. All right, that's good advice moving forward.
Now, before we get to this next clip, I kind of want to ask you what you think the big problem with this Lash was, because like you said, he was a presence everywhere, and we're going to see him again shortly. aside from just paying attention to where he's at, what do you think the answer needed to be for this guy? Is it a pick thing or a play thing?
For me personally, I think it comes down to probably a little bit on the draft. If they pick someone like Calico, someone who can both roam to match the Lash and also end fights faster, also kill him if he gets swapped by Paradox, it's
Fair.
just like it stops his tempo a lot, because a lot of these fights I feel like people were just living with a little bit of health and they were getting out with it's just like a sliver of health, and if they had just a little more damage instead of maybe like a Yamato or something like that, I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, and you mentioned the itemization too, right? Getting curse and those sorts of things to really put a hamper on him would have been useful. Spooky, let's roll the clip.
Yeah, my answer is actually a dev thing. Let's take a look and see what I mean by that.
This is going to be another huge wombo combo. There's that swap, but on the Lady Geist, no follow-up here. The Frozen Shelter to lock everybody in place. But here is the true ASS himself, about to make his presence felt. He's snatching up a couple huge
So
for the Crown Strike combination. But wait, where's this Calvin going, Spooky Mars?
Right into the wall. No McGinnis needed for this one. But the lockdown is, as you can see, quite effective. Might need to take a look at that in the future.
Oof. OBT, this does bring me into my next question about comms. What advice do you give to your players about communicating, especially on these rotations, ultimate timings, jungle timings, things like that?
So my advice is always, if you are trying to do something important, you should just communicate. Say a few words, try to get everybody, even if they don't respond, try to like let them know what you're doing. And they can decide if they want to join in on that. I try to usually have someone like the Kelvin. I told them a support is always good to have doing comms in game, and then another person like a roamer, like a ganker like Calico or Abrams. And I just try to, basically tell them no plan is worse than like a bad plan. So just calm what you're doing, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least you tried. Sometimes sometimes stuff just happens. Sometimes you get 4-man lash ulted, sometimes you go on the wall. Like, it is what it is.
I really like that
Thank you very
insight.
much.
So, I had a very brief stint in comp. I was bad, but even there, the coach always said, it's better to follow a bad call than to everyone do their own thing. So I really appreciate that insight from OBT, but we've been seeing a lot out of Lash. This next clip isn't entirely centered around him. In fact, it shows some good fight back from All-Star Special. Let's roll this one. Philly, I want you to kind of break down this fight for me and see what went right, what went wrong.
I mean, we're highlighting the Lash because it is Death Slam after all. That is Deathty's favorite character, so it only makes sense. But this was going for a Walker take, and they're fighting this awkward corridor. So OBT, I definitely want you to give some thoughts when this fight has concluded. But the Frozen Shelter once again to lock everybody down, but the kills just too late to come through. What I really want to highlight is the split push ability. This Victor is going to take down the Walker in lane number 3 the whole while this fight is going on. That was what I was talking about, this 5 protect 1 style. Give him the space to farm and he will carry you through the victory. But OBT, you saw that tight fight there in the corridor. What are your thoughts?
So personally, that was like super close. It was just like some small mistakes. I think if the Yamato maybe backed up or just like power slashed into the claws without meleeing, so she didn't get swapped, and then also if the Mirage was just a little closer in there, like they were so very low. I think just like next time, if they're gonna brawl like that in a small room, they need to all be there. Mirage especially, he could have team wiped everybody, but very close, just small mistakes.
And you said your team loves to brawl, so it was just like that nice edge. It's been the story of game number 1. So very close.
And there's small mistakes, and there's bigger mistakes. OBT, you made a highlight of comms and how important they are in a team setting. I think the next clip will kind of speak for itself in why that is so important. Kashi, would you please do the honors?
We clip because this was an instrumental fight just for the game itself in terms of capturing Urn, pushing this middle Walker, the final one available. But the Frozen Shelter locks down the Victor, and that's where he wants to be, and he gets everybody with a 4-man reanimation stun, and the Drowning Charge just sweeps him up after that. I mean, oof, the double agent Calvin causing the team wipe for a squad. OBT, any thoughts on that besides just press cancel maybe a little bit sooner?
Yeah, I imagine there was probably a lot of screaming going on during that, so I can't fault the Kelvin. But yeah, Kelvin's one of those characters where you make or break you with all your domes, and it's very, very hard. You know, one mistake can cost you like an entire fight. But yeah, just put down the dome. You're always locked in there with Victor. He's never locked in there with you. You know.
I'm gonna get that like put on my wall or tatted on my arm or something, just so we always remember that Victor is locked in there with us. But can't tell you how many times I've frozen sheltered my team into a bad position. So it happens to everybody. That's true, Spooky. We always play together. I think we got one more clip though, Spooky Mars, to roll up here.
We got one more. This is a big one. This is what kind of opens up the end of the game, and again, it's off the back of this Lash. Really, he was driving just about everything. Just keep your eyes on him as he goes in here.
Yeah, that's a big two-person ultimate, slamming everybody back down. We've been talking about how difficult it is to close out matches, but off the back of these initiations from Abrahams Jr., just really catching All-Star Special out on these rotations. OBT, I feel like we've highlighted the Lash there, but I think what I really want to talk about is the base defense. What is the advice you give to teams when they have to turtle, when they have to put their backs against the wall and fight back from a losing position?
I just told them basically the base is super open. It's very, very strong to defend. So when you're pushing it, don't push it unless you have 4 kills or more. And then when you're defending it, just sit on the high ground and just spray away. It's always the best to fight in base, even if they have like an urn or something. It's not worth it. Just always sit in your base. There's no other point.
Yeah, it's the base for the reason, the most defensible point on the map. You've got your base gardens, you got your shrine, the Hidden King or Archbrother is there, right? This is your point, your last hurrah. Unfortunately, the Victor kind of just ran through everybody, and they were able to chunk it down. But we go into game number 2, of course. Spooky, okay, I think, do we have any more questions, Spooky? I know you're a mobile gamer yourself, but any questions here for OBT while we have them on?
I just have one question for OBT, because I don't want you to give away too much information. There's still a draft to get through. But off the back of a loss, right? You're getting ready for the next draft. You're getting ready for the next game. What do you say to your team just to make sure their heads are still in the game and make sure that focus is still there?
Ban Victor. Ban Victor, curse Lash. That's exactly what I told them. Ban Victor, curse Lash, and then you guys have so much more success.
All right.
Okay.
I do believe that's all we have for you for... Yeah, it's a great plan. It's all we have from OBT for right now, so we're going to go ahead and let you get back to your team. There's a draft to get through. Thank you so much for joining us, OBT. Do you want to shout out anyone before we send you off?
Shout out Deathy for hosting the great event. Shout out Griffin for doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and shout out you guys for being great casters. Great team that you guys have here. It's a big operation for what I can see in the Discords, and it's honestly great that we have a grassroots scene developing. Thank you for having me. Also, shout out my team. shout out my guppies, as I like to call them. They're doing great.
Excellent. Well, thank you, OBT.
Thank you so much,
again.
OBT.
Appreciate you, friend. Yep, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Philly. Now that we got rid of the guy with the banana, let's talk about drafts. Let's talk about what's going on with this next one. Because obviously a lot of changes need to be made. In your opinion, we heard it from the coach. Is this a situation where you just ban out Victor, ban out the Lash, and say, let's play our own game? Or you think there's some more adjustments that need to be made in the game than that?
So the Lash is counterable, right? OBT,
Sure.
he kind of illuminated that point. I mean, that's fine. Comms and items. That is how you defeat a Lash, right? Make sure he doesn't surprise you. Make sure if he does show up, you tank him to the ground. Victor, not so much, right? Unless you win in the early game, which means you need to draft for that. But they banned the Shiv first in game 1. Okay, let the Shiv go through, see what they can do with it. Ban either the Victor or the Lash if they feel like they're uncomfortable with it, whatever it is, and then see. And maybe if Shiv doesn't make it through the round 1, you ban him in round 2. Okay, that's fine.
Sure.
So maybe some adjustments there in the banning phase for them.
Now, let's look at the game that did happen, right? Obviously, we just saw a few highlights. A lot of them were from Lash's perspective. I want you to tell me a little bit about what you think All-Star Special did well. What do they need to repeat to try to have better success here?
They're
Do they bribe the
so-
Lash? Like, they just bring him over?
Yeah, they could. Like we talked about, picking the character itself is the best way to ban it or remove it from the game, whatever. Kill secure, and that comes down to communication. You have to say, hey, we're all focusing this person or focusing that person. And just like the coach was saying, there's little mistakes of not getting those kills secured, because even if you get one person extra off the board, maybe that deters the other team from pushing their walker or going for this urn or whatever it is. So just
Numbers
that
are
kill
big.
secure. Yeah, you've got to do it. So I think that that's what it is. Just a little bit more open communication. Focus on those targets. Take somebody. If you're going down, might as well take somebody with you. That would be my advice to him moving forward. And press that tempo.
That's why I play
a little bit.
Infernus.
That's right. You like to you're heating us up here, Spooky. I took my jacket off too because we're getting it spicy here for match 3 of the day, and it's a Warden taken off the board for Abrahams Jr. They did that first last time in game 1. Now this is what we want to see. They listen to the coach. That's important. Active listening. There's the victor. Not playable.
Yeah, not too surprised to see that one go through. If a character scales up like that and is that much of a problem, sure, there's a little bit of an ego whispering in your ear. We can deal with it. We can just play better. Just get rid of him. Make it simple. Billy going to be locked in once more, but on the other side this time around. How do you feel about that switch up, Philly?
I have a lot of thoughts about Billy. People are like, yo, this guy's nasty. He does all these things, la la la.
H2
I always
Billy
feel
Goat.
like, Billy and Philly, I feel like I should be supporting him, but I don't know. I just feel like he's not as good as Abrams. I don't know. I personally like Abrams better. I would pick him instead, but maybe because I'm just more comfortable on that character. The Chain Gang is really good, but the thing is, when you pick the Billy first, you then have to find a support to pair with it later, knowing that the other team is probably going to go for an opener just like this, the Abrams Page. So then it's like, well, we have to then settle for a Calvin or a Dynamo or Ivy or something like that maybe is not, it's good, but not as good. So it's like, well, why don't we just have a stronger first pick? I don't know. It's tough to think about it, but he is a good character, but they're kind of going for the same thing. Spooky, I'm seeing deja vu.
I'll note right here, Philly, Goat, Hater. Do not invite to the farm. Gotcha. So these drafts, like you said, Deja Vu, look very, very similar because they're pretty much identical to what we just saw, but flip-flopped. Now, of course, there has to be at least one change because Victor was banned away. But it kind of tells you where these teams are valuing these characters. Clearly, they see them as very valuable, high picks, worth going for early on. But there also feels like there might be a little of that, sure, you can do it, but I can show you how to do it better kind of thing going into it.
And doesn't that always feel nice when you play against the team and you just run the comp they just ran and do it better? But instead of the Paradox here for the first round, they go with the Lash. So much success on it. And I'm sure OBT is just sitting in their chair just like, please buy a curse, please buy a knockdown, do something, please talk to each other about this guy. He cannot run the server again. Spooky, I hope we only have one clip of Lash going in, and there it is, the counter, perfect. That's why he's a coach, Spooky. Calico is gonna match him in this early game tempo.
Theoretically, right? Calico should be able to match this Lash. However, my main concern is we didn't see a lot of movement from All-Star Special in that early game. We didn't see them successfully finding a lot of those picks. It was really, and maybe that was because Lash was driving most of the momentum. This Calico might be the exact thing they need to change that story. But we gotta see an execution. They've got the tools. Can they put them to work?
Yeah, and that's something we were talking about in the green room, friend, is they need to push the tempo a little bit more. They had the early game authority on their side in terms of scalability. What is that? Is it God?
My room's beige.
You get me every time. I know that joke is coming, and you still get me with that joke every time. Still, this is where I totally lost my train of thought because of that joke, but it's fine. It's fine. Calico needs to match this Lash. This Celeste was the one that started that early game rotations, and I think it'll be the same player, I believe it was Fluffy, who will probably pilot this Calico to get those early rotations going, because they found a double kill early on in the mid lane.
That's true,
which
yeah.
then they could have snowballed further. just couldn't capitalize because they needed more of that. So Celeste's taken off the board here, Calvin as well, so they can't combo Abrahams Jr. with the Lash Dome, or maybe to their own benefit, don't get caught in it. But the silver now, the Lycan now will be on the board. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, this one was banned away by Abrahams Jr. in game 1. Now, All-Star Special get to pick it up for themselves because that Celeste was targeted. So, sure, maybe there won't be an early game double kill from the Celeste, but the silver scales very well through the rest of the game. And that's one thing that All-Star Special was sorely lacking, it felt like. I really like this adjustment, but you're looking at this Venator, and I can see you've got some thoughts here.
You know me too well, my guy. I mean, obviously a really strong late game carry. You go full gun, some vitality in there, and you're just blasting away.
We
but
love late game.
I'm curious if we do love late game, but I'm curious if this Calico will just kind of feast on him early. He's gonna have to be quick with the gut shot, quick with the trap to lock this feline down. There's finally the support pick. We were wondering who you were gonna match with this Billy.
I wasn't
Ivy is, I
wondering.
think.
I knew
The
it was
viewers
Ivy.
at home, you already knew it was Ivy because Calvin's
Yeah.
off the board and you're not going to go Dynamo, so it's got to be Ivy. There it is, the hero of Harlem being picked up here. I would be surprised if those two weren't matched up at some point in this game.
Yeah, I mean, got to put them together, right? I'm very interested to see how this Venator does because, like you said, this Calico could be a big problem. If All-Star Special are trying to get that early start and find some tempo through the mid game as well, I mean, you've basically given them a big flashing target that says, hey, look over here. This is the one you want to kill. That Paradox gets locked in alongside everything, so has a bit of an initiator here as well. Way to further pull this Venator out of position if need be. There could be some good stuff happening here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see like an stamina mastery or something for the Venator to help him get out of these tricky situations. But I love them picking up the Paradox later, but making sure they have the kill secure with the Calico. The Silver can do it if they're in Lycan form, that sort of thing. What is interesting is Abrahams Jr. have a massive global presence with this Mirage and the Ivy. I can't even fit in the screen. It's that big, Spooky Mars. This is going to give the Venator more space across the map, but with that more space comes vulnerability, and this is where the Calico and Silver can strike if he's not careful. So their comms are going to have to be clean as they're spreading out the map to take these objectives. We saw the strategy from Abrahams is that 5 protect 1 style and really get their late game carry online quickly. But speaking of late game carries, this is their insurance. It's the 7 as the final pick for All-Star Special.
That's where I don't see get picked up a whole lot here. Well, let me rephrase that. In the higher tiers, I don't see him getting picked up a whole lot. In my games, he pub stomps me, and I just call him the most broken thing ever because I'm not good. So talk to me a little bit about how this 7 fits into this composition. Obviously, you said late game scaling here. Is it enough to match the Venator? Does it outpace or at least match what Abrahams Jr. is trying to do?
I mean, sure, you could maybe match the Venator, but then you also have a Mirage, and last I checked, it's 2 guns versus 1, and as good as the 7 may be, the math ain't math in there. It's the late game assurance, but they definitely don't want to get there. I think with this 7, they're looking for quick clears in the lane, right? Just dominate the lane pressure, push the troopers forward, take some of those objectives. He can clear jungle very quickly as well. And it's also a team fight ultimate. I'm looking everything here. The rallying charge, maybe seismic impact if you can land it, is their big like team fight wombo combo. If they do need to fight in the mid boss pit or over an urn, this is where the 7 and the Storm Cloud is going to come through. But the Apollo, this snazzy high school student, I'm excited to see a game with this character on board.
And talk to me a little bit about what this Apollo is bringing, because frankly, I haven't seen a whole lot of him, right? He's one of the newest characters, is the newest character. Still finding his footing and everything. Where does he fit into this draft? What's the reason for this pickup here?
Yeah, this is sort of their mid-game assurance. He is a nuker by trade. Pretty good in the early game. The mid-game is where he comes online, really can stamp people. The late game, he falls off a little bit in terms of how his spirit scaling happens. People can buy items against him, that sort of thing. He's tougher in team fights. Yeah, he can dive in with his, I'm better than you ultimate, but then maybe he can get singled out, that sort of thing. So they're really trying to shore up their mid-game, knowing how strong the early mid-game is for All-Star Special. So I do like the pickup to kind of burst down some of these squishier targets like the Calico.
one thing I'm looking at Abrahams Jr. is a much less present front line. You've got Billy, and then who else is tanking for you? Lash is looking to initiate. He's not going to be your guy that's soaking up damage. Ivy's sure she's got the stone for him, but she's not that durable outside of it. So how do they approach these fights? How is All-Star Special looking?
Yeah, I think the Billy and the Ivy together, if she has the Watcher's Covenant, the stone form, she'll build green items, so she'll kind of stay alive, and also shoot people away with the Katsu bomb. So I think there will be some frontline, but you're right. It's
true.
It's going to be tricky how they navigate some of these fights. On the flip side, though, the Silver and the Abrams can work together. I don't know. I'm liking both of these drafts, Spooky. Let's see how they do.
Yeah, only one way to find out how they do in the end here. What? I have one more question for you, though. I have one more question before we get into things.
Okay, I'm ready.
Who is being paired with this Venator to keep him safe from Calico?
Oh, that's that's a very challenging question, because you would want the Billy and the Ivy to be together, and yeah, we'll see. But Spooky, I think we've got to send it to the cast. The fans want to know where the lane partnerships will be. Let's once again send it to Trixly and Dandro.
Let's get it in there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready for game number 2 in this best of 3 series, and we'll see if there's even a chance here for ASS to turn this around and get us to a game number 3. I do have an interesting little discussion happening in the Twitch chat right now. Yes T says, I just got off the phone with the manager of ASS. He said they didn't know they were supposed to do damage last game, so they fixed that. So, sounds like we might got a game, Dandro.
I hope so. That was there. I think there's, this always comes down to the draft, and then it always comes down to how do you execute the play style of your draft. I just feel like from that last game, Abrahams Jr., they showed a lot of just fundamental deadlock knowledge and how you're supposed to play the map and how you're doing great. I don't know, man. I don't see the All-Star Special draft being the answer to some of those fixes that are there. I really hope I'm wrong. And it was an interesting thing that Spooky called out, was that neither of these teams really have like a super aggressive front line. It's like on the side of All-Star Special, you have the Abrams, and then the Silver, once she gets some items online and can get into that Lycan form, sure.
Where obviously the mid-game Lycan shot calling was slightly better in favor of Abrams, and they knew how to take a lead and run with it. But both these teams put on a gosh darn good show today, and I'm glad I was here for it. That's for sure, Dandro. How about you?
Yeah, it was really electric. Obviously I was on the desk for those first 2 games today, and it was going great, right? We went up a division, and here in Div 2, this felt like the first time where we saw some really high-level deadlock being played, where players really understood how to play the game, not just mechanically from their character side, but also on a macro sense. How do you want to play around the map? When should you be pushing? When should you be backing off? When should you be playing around objectives? And we really saw all of that come to fruition. I love the team comps for both these teams. 2 different ideas that we saw trying to be used there. Just feels like for Abrahams Jr., they just had a lot better idea of how they wanted to use their team comp and how they could use it for a victory.
Okay, well, let's go over to Spooky and HJ Philly so they can drop down some analysis and let them know what they thought about that game.
I mean, what is there to say, right, guys? What a phenomenal match that was. Thank you so much, Trixler and Danjo. And Philly, I really feel like Danjo said it best there.
Yes, sir.
Because he really emphasized how close that game was. Before we get into all that, though, I mean, Philly, we have a screen to look at. I know you liked talking about it last time.
Oh, the MVP. Let's reveal who it is. There could be a number of choices, but it will be the Billy, the frontline extraordinaire. It's 61k souls, but what I'm looking at is just the kill streak. This guy, undeniable, unstoppable there in the cursed apple, chaining everybody and keeping them in place. But this Mirage, miraculous with 24 assists. We talked about the global presence this character has. He was all over the map participating in fights.
Yeah, honestly, Abrahams Jr. did a fantastic job of just controlling this map. And I think that's really what kind of pushed them ahead, because for a long time, we were seeing the game be, like we said before, very close. Yes, there was about a 10,000 soul lead in a lot of places, but it was kept firmly at that spot, not being allowed to progress further. But man, Billy, and frankly, Mirage as well, just had so much presence on this map that they could not stall forever, and All-Star Special ended up slipping up.
Yeah, it was just a few earn fights that went the way of Abrahams Jr. And we'll take a look at those through our replays, but that really kind of ballooned their soul lead and then allowed them to kind of just take objectives, more map space, more pressure, and then eventually the siege just wore down the base and they were able to get the victory. So a methodical win from Abrahams Jr. A long game, but they played it expertly well in every step, early, mid, and late, just winning their fights, getting objectives, and taking it to them. So a well-deserved victory for them. Excited to see more of that squad in the future.
Sure, you're going to see some of those longer victories, right? It's the whole point of the Death Slam events, right? If you don't have a ton of experience, hop on in, be part of the action, get yourself some experience, and then one day you will learn how to close those games out a little bit faster. Before we get into those, though, let's take a look back over that game because we've got some highlights to look at, Philly. And one thing we were kind of talking about as we were watching is Apollo and how strong he is. But if you ask me, he looks pretty weak because he can die.
If that was the only criteria to measure the OP hollowness of a character, then I guess so. But this guy was just flawless, advancing through everybody. There's the disengaging sigil, and then he just dives right in. The range on that, he's just poking everybody. I used to fence back in the day, Spooky, and I was never able to get my lunges to go that far. This guy, the nuker extraordinaire, getting some things done, finding the double early on. So this guy, he just created that early pressure and allowed Venator to find some of that early farm that he so desperately needs.
I mean, you don't seem like you're half demon, so I feel like maybe he's got like a slight edge over you in some situations there, Philly. You know what? I don't want to get too personal. I don't know what you might be hiding. So let's instead look a little bit further into this game. Let's talk about that earn contention that we were seeing, because we saw a lot of fights happen around these.
Yeah, and this is where the Calico, we wanted her to contest the Lash on these rotations, and finding him in the air with the airdrop combination, able to snap him out of the sky and then return to shadows and obliterate people. We'll see this Calico again in a few of our replays down the line, but this is where she really made her presence felt in some of these early game positions. And Death Slam there. We promise this is not about the Lash, folks. This is about the Calico trying to get some things done, but a good earn contention this time goes the way of All-Star Special.
Yeah. I mean, the Calico was something you kind of highlighted at the draft phase, right? You wanted to see Jin get very active on this. You said that it might be the driving force behind All-Star Special. And frankly, if you look at the scoreboard, even if All-Star Special didn't come out on top, I think you had some very good points there, and it was shown in execution.
Yeah, so let's take a look here. This is really actually about, I'm going to pause it here,
Look
folks.
at Slash.
This is actually about, oh God, why did I pause it here? I'm so sorry. Really, it's about this left walker in lane number 1. What we talked about during the draft, Spooky, is the global presence, right, that the ID and the Mirage have. But this leaves them vulnerable to characters like Calico. And so, yeah, they were doing this 5v5 protect 1 style, the Amber side, but what they did was leave the Mirage open for this Calico to come through for the gank. You'll see the health bar here, folks, of this Mirage just disappear in an instance, leaving him vulnerable. And the best part about this is that the Calico actually picks up the earn from this fight. So let's see how it plays out. And we don't get to see it on camera, unfortunately, but just watch that health bar. I couldn't even see it go down. Jin with the kill. I mean, this is what that Calico wants to do, punish these characters who find themselves on their lonesome.
And he did it phenomenally, right? Not every pick will lead to a win, but every win does have its share of picks. You gotta be hunting, gotta be trying. Jin does a very good job of that. But not everything is about picks either. Sometimes it's full-on team fights, Philly. That's what we're all about here at the Death Slam events. That's why it's called Death Slam events. Let's take a look at this garden fight.
Yeah, we're having some definitely some depth and definitely some events. That's a quote from Soren Markov, but we're taking the forward push from the flawless advance of this Apollo. a good seismic impact to kind of lock folks down. But this is them jockeying in these neutral spaces, just all the abilities being sent out. But they found the right pick in the Lash early on. He couldn't get the Death Slam off to start this engagement, which is huge. But this Apollo just incredibly strong, finding these exit frags as the fight goes on. And this Ivy, a tremendous amount of healing moving forward with that Watcher's Covenant. So just expertly done for them, jockeying position, and there was only a few kills going, but that just is showing how well they're countering each other's abilities via items and their cooldowns. So well done from both sides in that engagement there.
And that shows how close the game was too, because you watched that All-Star Special had a very good fight there. In fact, they come out slightly ahead. Hurts losing Fluffy on the silver, and maybe that was a bit of a bane throughout the game for them. But as much as I'd love to praise All-Star Special, we have a running theme here, Philly, and it's also praising Lash. So let's take a look.
I thought we weren't going to show any Lash.
It's the only Lash.
Okay, all right, folks. The only Lash clip that we have. He was making an earn run, decided better against it. He was like, all right, I think there's a team fight about to happen. Let me see what I could do. This is the flaw of the silver. Once you're liking for him, you have to commit all the way, and she retreats, which opens up for the slam, and it's a double there for the Lash. I mean, well done to kind of catch a few folks out. They get 2 of their frontliners eliminated for All-Star Special. It's a great disengage, re-engage there from the Hidden King side. Well done for that.
Yeah. Like I said, the silver, very good pick, has a lot going for them, but constantly a target throughout these fights. You saw it there with Lash, just not letting Fluffy play the game they want to. Let's stop talking about Lash, right? We're all tired of it. Let's talk more about Apollo, because Ascend was also putting a lot of clips up today.
Oh man, which one is it? I'm looking at the list here. Oh, this is Apollo. What is the name of this clip, Cashy? Let's roll it. Let's see what kind of diabolical things this Academy student does in this fight.
Oh, I get
a
it.
good exchange to the front line there. The Rising Ram into the shoulder charge. They back each other up to create some space. The rallying charge here to bolster everybody up. This is that Billy with that so much healing of frontline capabilities. But really what we're looking for is the Apollo. I can't even spot him here. There he is. He's diving in now under the bridge, and he is just about to clean up these kills, Spooky Mars. Look at that flawless advance. He is dancing around the battlefield. Oh my goodness, a massive ultimate. Oh, hacks down. This guy, get him out the game. OP, I'm done. I don't even know what to say. He's good.
He dies in the game. He can't be that broken. Very, very low bar to clear.
It's about how quickly
I'm
you
just
get
waiting
him
for
to
my
die.
invitation to the balance team.
Fair.
You know what? We talked about Apollo.
Valve signed this guy immediately. I know his address.
Let's talk more about Apollo, how about? Because obviously he can put out a lot of damage, but we also saw some utility come through in some of these fights, not allowing other people to play the game in rather unconventional methods. Gashi, roll the clip. Show him the Abrams.
We call this no Paulo, and this is where he uses ultimate to silence the seismic impact, my favorite ability in the game, and this Abrams just has to slink away with a sliver of HP. That could have been huge to turning the fight, getting some of those stuns online, especially with how they comboed it with the Storm Cloud to start it off. But why does that ultimate also silence people? Like, what the heck? I mean, reduce healing, okay, fine, but canceling moves, that's crazy strong. This guy, unbelievable. I don't even know. Whew.
So, seismic impact is your favorite ability in the game?
It is.
Okay. So, seeing it cancel kind of puts you in a bad mood. Is that a good vibe check there?
Yeah. That hurts. But I'm here with the Death Slam crew. We've been vibing all night long. And Spooky, you believe we've got more Death Slam and more Deadlock to show. So I got to keep the energy going. It's 11 p.m. here on the East
let's bring your
Coast,
mood
so
up.
I'm ready
Let's
to keep
show
it-
a
keep it
second Lash clip. Bring the energy back up.
Oh, we've got 2! Okay, huge. Is it going to be another
I lied
Death
to
Slam?
you.
I mean, probably. Or is this really an Apollo clip? It's probably both. These characters, insane. But there it is, a massive Death Slam for 3. I mean, just locks everybody up. The Venator with a huge gut shot. Just eliminates him, and the stakes to boot. That's an easy cleanup. Just, here you go. Gifted on a silver platter for your carrier. Super farmed. And just chunked down to smithereens. I mean, you'll love to see it.
Yeah, we couldn't give Lash all the credit. Got to put them together. it's the last clip from Apollo's perspective. Let's show some more stuff from other people's perspective. As we saw after this, game continues on. Really started to come down to that mid-boss fight, right? Let's take a look back at that, see how that one panned out, and kind of what tipped the scales here.
Yes, I love talking about mid-boss fights, especially when it comes from the draft perspective, right? Who's got good mid-boss contest? You and I especially, we love to talk about it. Going into this fight, All-Star Special, they're missing some of their most impactful pit fighting abilities. No Storm Cloud, no Rallying Charge, no Seismic Impact, right? These are what you do to contest.
That's big.
Right. So when they were going for this, in the back of my head, I was like, there's no way they should be doing it. But they had to. They were down. Look, they're down 71,000 souls. They had to make a desperate play. This is their opportunity to do it. What it's going to be is the back of Fat Lenny with a fat overcharge, folks. This is what you're going to be looking for. It's going to be coming through right here. Boom. He finds 3. And then they go get locked in by the Page Flame and the Static Ball. So much spirit damage locks them up. Unfortunately, the Fencer just dances around everybody again. Yeah, just takes him down. I don't know how to get rid of this line. There it is. Okay, there we go. I'm learning. But a great fight start. They just didn't have the ultimates to finish it there, Spooky. And this Venator's positioning was immaculate. Staying outside of the pit and just peppering people down, especially with the crossbows online once again. The Wrath of God dominating that fight in there.
Well, Philly, it's like you always talk about, timing is key, and one of the big parts of your timing is what ultimates do you have available to you. Unfortunately, when you're at a deficit, when you're behind, you're not the team that gets to dictate the pace of the game. No. Big shout out to Abrahams Jr. noting where they can push things, how to abuse their timings, get a lead in that mid-boss fight. So we've got one more clip to show you. I don't even know what this one is, right? This one's a surprise. That's what Pesci call it, surprise. So let's take a look and see what we got.
This is going to be when you're ahead. A lot of teams have been adopting this kind of like surprise gank, right? When a team's like, oh, I think I can go out to the jungle, get something. It's an immediate jump onto Fluffy, making their hair all knotted. And there you go. The Lycan's Curse can't come through. And they catch the Abrams out here as well. They find a double for their trouble. And that will allow the base to open up, and they just go through and find the win from there. So a way to pretend we're disengaging, but really we're setting a trap, and we're finding the pounce. And so well done there from Abrahams Jr., finding a way to close out the match and win it 2-0.
Sometimes that's all it takes is a nice little grouping behind a corner. You wait for someone to walk by. And like we said earlier, numbers are a powerful thing, Philly. There's an easy way to guarantee they're in your favor. Now,
yeah, just
what else is powerful, Philly?
Is it
what
sponsors?
else is
Is it giveaways?
It is sponsors and giveaways, Philly. You are dead on the money, dead locked on the money, perhaps because we are sponsored by Corsair. So there is a giveaway that is running. You want to join because there's some excellent stuff here. You can see it down the bottom. A keyboard. There's a mouse in there. There's a headset in there. I like free stuff. Do you like free stuff, Philly?
I need a new headset, man. Give me some free stuff, please.
Put the code in. Scan the QR code. Get yourselves in there, and remember, if you want to be part of the action, there's some very easy ways to do that. You can join the Discord. Make sure you're following us. Also, if you feel like supporting without making, a whole team and throwing yourselves into the Death Slam events, maybe you don't like being slammed around. Maybe you don't like death. I like death. That's why we're here. That's why we're watching this. I don't know why you're watching if you don't like death. But if you don't want to be part of the death, you can still contribute, pick up some merch, support the team that way. And we would love to have any support, even if it's just your viewership. We love having you here.
Yeah, be a part of the events, We are here to put on community events for all of you. We've had the Street Brawl tournament. We do DDS. We do DSL, DSI. There's so many different acronyms. We won't even bog you down. But what we do want to bog you down with is just having a good time here on your weekend days, on your weekdays, just joining us for some good old-fashioned deadlock fun. So support the events, support the crew, support yourselves. And that's what it's all about, Spooky.
That is what it's all about. But for right now, that wraps up this particular set. Stick around, don't go anywhere. We've got more Deadlock action, but it's going to be coming to you after a break.